and welcome back to Gay by Gay. Woo! Happy Pride Month, everybody.
It is still Pride.
Rainbow days.
Rainbow days.
Rainbow gays.
Rainbow gays.
Hello, hello. We hope you're all doing well today. How's your day been, Miss Abby?
Honestly, just breaking the mold because you guys are hearing this on like a random, probably Tuesday at this point. I think today is also weirdly enough a Tuesday, but it's not going to be the Tuesday that you're hearing this.
It's Tuesday, but your Tuesday.
It's probably going to be like 2 or 3 weeks even before you actually hear this.
Yeah.
But I spent all morning making that beautiful rainbow crepe cake that I'm going to be posting all over Instagram and everything.
It's very good.
It's very good. There's a lot of whipped cream, and it kind of made me nauseous earlier. And I'm still just like, ugh. But honestly, it was super fun, but I'm also kind of tired because I've been making rainbow crepes for hours and hours and hours today. It was a lot of crepes, okay? There was a lot of cleaning of food dye off of white countertops.
Oh, wow.
So much blue.
So much blue.
Blue, dabu dye.
Are you blue about it, though?
My tongue didn't turn blue, which I was kind of worried about with the amount of food color that went into those things.
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised
that
it didn't turn rainbow mouth on anybody in any of those colors.
Yeah.
The blue one I was like, oh. I was like, it's either going to be the red or it's going to be the blue. But it didn't. So.
That's so weird. I wonder why it doesn't do that.
I would assume because, I mean, the crepes are cooked.
Yeah.
So I guess the food color
won't bleed.
Cooks into them. I feel like maybe if you ate the raw batter, it would show up.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, you know, when you get like a snow cone or like a slushie or something, like your mouth turns, but because it's not like cooked into anything, it's just syrup that goes on top of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're right. Anyways.
You know what I want really bad though?
What?
Bubble tea.
Bubble tea?
Bubble
tea's pretty good.
I have been craving bubble tea so bad. I got one the other day, and I've wanted another one ever since.
Yeah.
I was like, if I just get one, it'll be fine. No, now I want more.
I think I got a mango milk tea a couple weeks ago. About a week
I got taro. Taro blended iced bubble tea. Oh, yes.
I don't like the tapioca balls, though. I like jelly balls, but I don't like the tapioca balls.
The tapioca is so good, though.
I don't like it. It's so slimy in my mouth.
I like it. I haven't tried I kind of want to try, like, the popping bubbles.
Those scare me.
They scare me. I'm too scared to do it, but I really, really, really kind of want to do it. You and I, one day, we're going to grab Charlie. We're going to go, and we're just going to try the popping bubbles.
Yeah. Popping bubbles. Can I have a spoon of the popping bubbles?
We're going to get, like, one to share between us, and guaranteed all 3 of us will hate it.
I don't think so. I think it'll be good.
Charlie will eat almost anything, so she'll probably find that it's fine.
Anyways.
That's not what we're talking about today.
No, not bubble tea.
We're actually talking about identity.
Identity.
And of course, with it being Pride Month, we are going to be mostly discussing our own identities within us being part of the LGBT community and kind of the paths we've taken to get where we are and just kind of discussing what these identities mean to us.
Yeah. Are we going to start from the beginning and go from there?
Sure. I mean, the beginning is normally a good place to start.
Who's starting?
You.
Me? Okay.
You started this.
So I came out of the womb, and I lived my life, and then I think I first identified as bi. I did first identify as bi. It was funny because not a lot of people knew except for you, and my sister found out about it somehow. I don't know how.
What do you mean somehow, my dude?
So, okay.
There was a fucking marquee sign on your back that said "gay here."
So I had made these bracelets for me and one of my friends who also identified as bi, who ended up being my first girlfriend. I took these little, I took the bi colors and made a little bracelet and took a little heart button and painted it like the bi flag. And then I posted a photo of them on Instagram, and my sister saw them. And I went into her room one day, and she goes, "Aaliyah, are you bi?" And I said, "No." And then I turned around and went downstairs, and she's like, "Why are you leaving then?" And I'm like, "I don't know." But yeah, she somehow found out
Classical symptoms of, oh shit, I've been caught.
Yeah, basically. It was really funny, actually. But later, I started identifying as not bi, but pan, because I was like, but I like non-binary people too. The bi-pan stuff is weird nowadays, but
it has gotten a lot more complicated.
Yeah, it is more complicated, but that's how I identify.
Realistically, the way I see it, bisexuals are those who identify with the idea that there are only 2 genders. Pansexuals are people who identify within the same realm, but they are more like, oh, non-binary, yada yada. Do you know what I mean? Like, to me, that's like the same sexuality. It's just
the same thing.
how they like box it, where bi is like
know.
they believe in the binary,
Yeah.
and then pan is they don't believe in the binary. But either way, it's loving everybody basically.
Yeah, I guess.
Loving every gender.
But yeah, so I identified as pan then, and I didn't really tell anyone about it. I just kind of was like, yeah, I guess I like a lot of people. And then I kind of came out as a lesbian.
Came out as lesbian, looked around, went, not today, and walked back into the fucking closet and became a Sunday school girl.
I don't think I knew, okay? I don't think I knew. Maybe deep down I did, but I don't really think I knew. I wasn't.
I don't think you knew how hardcore lesbian you were going to be, but I also don't think you would have been this hardcore lesbian if you hadn't had such a dick for an ex.
I don't think so. I think it was...
Like an MD.
Well, MD was very feminine, so I was able to lie through that.
I mean, realistically, I still don't know how you knew, because the way you first described MD to me was Abby, he's the prettiest girl in the world.
Yeah.
Because you had a crush on a girl.
Yeah.
And then he just happened to look like her, and that's how you ended up developing a crush on him. I don't know how you didn't see this, my dude.
I don't know how I didn't see it either. I actually remember near the end of our relationship, right before I came out, he had grown out his hair, and I hated it. I wanted him to cut it so bad. I mean, I was basically living through him. But you
wanted to be him.
Yeah, literally. And funny, because we also look kind of similar. But
I mean, I'm not going to say it.
But yeah, he grew his hair out. I didn't really like it, but he was like, hey, can you try, like, braiding it like this so I could, like, style it? I'm like, sure. So I braided it, and then I looked at him, and I remember just feeling weird. And I go, why does this make me feel weird? Why does this feel like something is missing? And then I came out as a lesbian,
What's missing
like, 3
was the
months
boobs
later.
and the vagina.
Yeah.
That's what was missing.
Yeah, really. But I came out as a lesbian, and then I kind of was like, I don't even know what started me to want to wear men's clothes. I don't know what happened. I think I was like, I don't know. I think I wanted to just, like, embrace my gay, and I was like, well...
I think that's almost what it was for you in the beginning. I think you wanted, like, because you had identified for so long as very, like, feminine.
Yeah.
I think you suddenly, because you realized you were gay and, like, majorly gay, you just wanted to let everybody know how gay you were. And the answer to you, I think, was just blasting it on the loudspeaker by wearing men's clothing.
Yeah, but even when I was, like, I guess I was trying to do it for that at first, but then when I finally, like, started dressing...
You just started getting more comfortable with it.
I was like, oh, shit, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is me.
For you, I think it felt better for you. And it doesn't really surprise me knowing, like, with the way you identify now, it doesn't surprise me that you just found more comfort in men's clothing.
Yeah, it's just... I think...
You didn't want to be seen as feminine, and especially because you do have a very feminine body, let's be real.
Yeah.
I think to you, wearing boys' clothes just helped you hide that.
I think for me, before, I never really let myself even dream about wearing men's clothes. I never really gave myself the option to do those kinds of things.
Mentally, no. Like, I remember you repeating this phrase to me so many times when you first started coming out. When you had first decided that you wanted to wear boys' clothes, I think one of the first things you ever said to me was, I'm allowed to do that. And I said... Yeah, and you were like, I can walk into the men's department and just, like, buy things. And I was like, yes. And you were like, no one's going to stop me. And I was like, no, Leah, no one is going to stop you if you walk in the boys section. That. Like, it literally to you was like, know that. It kind of reminds me of Stone Butch Blues where, like, literally you were like, but it's illegal.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. But then I started to, and I was like, oh, yeah. And then I started feeling more like myself. And then I realized that I was only wearing women's clothes because I thought I had to. Yeah. And I was like, shit, damn, I knew that. So I identify as butch now. Before, I kind of was like, oh, like, I'm probably, like, STEM or something. But then I thought, and I was like, do I really want to...
For some of the listeners, let's actually just kind of break out what each sexuality here is, just because...
Butch isn't a sexuality.
No, but you know what I mean.
It's a label.
The different archetypes, I guess.
Yeah. So we have... Nowadays, we'll be more nowadays about it, and then we'll get older.
And let's be real, within the next year, this could all drastically change. Yeah. So this is just for what is today, what we understand these things to be.
There's a lot of people can choose to label themselves or not. It's none of my business what they do.
Yep.
But there's girls who identify as, like, mask girls, where they're like, oh, like, I dress masculine, and those are kind of more girls today who do that, and they find their identity in that. And then there's people who identify as STEM who, like, sometimes they kind of flip between a more masculine fashion, and then sometimes they flip between a more feminine fashion, and they like to switch off on those.
I was going to say, I remember that phase for you very well, because there were times that you would wear boy clothes, but then you were also you were still somewhat comfortable. You were like, no dresses and things, but you were still fine with wearing tights and things.
Yeah. But, and then there would be more femme where you're just like, I am comfortable wearing feminine clothes all the time.
Yeah.
And then if we go a layer deeper, kind of in the older side, you have butch and femme, and butch is more like I would say it's a more like a harder core masculine thing.
I was going to say, I feel like that's one of the ones that gets people majorly, is the difference between masculine and butch.
Butch is more like, to me, I mean, it's not a style, it's an identity. That's how it means to me, because it's more like I would like to exude what is more masculine traits in general, sort of like gentleman-y stuff. Like, I like holding the doors open for people, and I like dressing masculine, and I like being perceived as, like, tough, a little
You're a very handsome lady.
Yeah, exactly. And just kind of exude more kind of masculine strength, rather than just I don't know, a girl in boy clothes.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I like the more action behind it, the more...
And I feel like, maybe I'm wrong on this, I feel like masculine is still woman in boys' clothes to some extent. Like, yes, you want to be more masculine, but you're like, oh, I'm still very much a woman.
Yeah, I think
in your case, it's not that you're saying, oh, I'm not a woman. It's more just like, you are far more comfortable in the masculine side of things. And even being told, oh, you're a beautiful woman, you're kind of like, nah. But if you get told that you're a very handsome woman, you're kind of like, yeah, that's my thing.
But yeah, I like the more action behind it. I like the more like gentleman-y stuff. Like, I'm gonna take my girlfriend out for dinner, and like just kind of stuff like that. Or I can do that. I like doing that a lot. And but yeah, and then you have femme on that side, which is... There's femme identity within that too, and within the femme butch subculture and stuff. But aesthetically wise, I would say femme is the same as femme in today's times.
I would say, yeah, femme is just feminine.
Yeah.
Women being women.
Yeah.
Just period.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we're probably going to hop over to me very briefly, and then just kind of at the end there maybe briefly discuss how both of us are kind of dealing with our separate sexualities after having come out.
Yeah. Hello and welcome back to Gay by Gay. Woo!
We're gonna be like faster and
so
faster.
Good at that.
We're gonna be like freaking light
I
speed
know.
by the end of this.
It's amazing.
Self-identity.
Yes,
For me, it's a lot more cut and dry than it was with you. You went on like this odyssey journey to discover who you were, and you went through several things. I think for me, back when I was going through school, I'm not that much older than you. I'm only 5 years older than you, which sounds atrocious now that I say it out loud, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not that much older. When you think about how close our generations are, my experience going through school shouldn't be that different, but in some ways it was that
Things
different.
were moving very fast.
They did. They moved very, very fast. Between the time that I was in high school and you were in high school, we kind of went from, we were just starting to get like pride groups within school.
Well,
I think my grade 12 year was the first year we ever had a gay-straight alliance at our school.
You were in high school when gay marriage was legalized in the States. I was in middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
you might have been just leaving high school.
I graduated in 2014.
Okay.
So, yeah. When I started high school, that was, 2011, I guess?
Yeah.
So, realistically, there is a bit of a gap.
Yeah,
there is a bit of a gap, especially just because things in the LGBT community did move very quickly during that time.
Yeah.
So for me, I pretty much went through high school, middle school, everything, never questioning anything.
Yeah.
I always thought that it was a little bit odd that everyone was like jumping in and out of relationships very quickly. Honestly, I chalked up a lot of it to me being socially awkward, me being extremely busy because at the time I was working, I was teaching dance, and I was going to school. My dad had just passed from brain cancer. I was dealing with a whole lot of sort of like personal stuff on my end, and so it was just kind of like, well, I'm not really looking for a relationship anyway. But even looking back, I find it a little suspicious that I really didn't develop crushes on anybody. I think in my entire time in high school, I developed one major crush, and that major crush had a crush on my sister.
Yeah.
So you can tell that my experience was not very good.
Yeah.
And even then, I'm just going to come out and say it very bluntly. I was the ugly duckling in high school and middle school.
I would say middle school, not high school, though.
Middle school. High school, I still hadn't fully come into it yet. I was starting to.
Yeah, I'd say.
But even then, compared to what some of the other girls looked like in high school, I was the ugly duckling. Like, it's not really surprising to me that between my social awkwardness and the fact that I wasn't one of the pretty popular girls, it's not really surprising that no one ever asked me out except for those couple of really creepy guys.
Yeah, the creepy guys.
And even then, it's not really surprising because any guy that did decide that he wanted to talk to me ended up stalking me pretty much. So it's not really surprising that I just decided I want to stay the hell out of all of this completely.
Yeah.
I decided that I didn't want anything to do with any of it.
Yeah.
Looking at it now, I am a little bit suspicious because I realize that part of that drive to get in and out of relationships so much is that probably sexual drive.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing going,
curiosity.
oh, that's why I didn't have the urge to do that.
Were you ever around people who were, like, deep into, like, the hookups?
Not really. Again, my friend group was fairly small with me being socially awkward. My best friend from high school, CZ, she is actually getting married later this year. COVID dependent.
Yeah.
She's getting married to her high school sweetheart this year. So it's just kind of like one of those things. And even then, looking at the rest of my fringe group, none of them were very much like in and out of relationships. They were all very much that sort of, I think a couple of my friends were already starting to question their sexuality. Because that was just at a time where people were just starting to realize that they could. And if I'm really honest looking back at it, I kind of feel like they may have been lesbians and didn't know how to interpret that. So they weren't jumping in and out of relationships because they didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah, pretty much.
So for me, getting out of high school and everything, as I got older, everyone in my actual life, there are many people in my life that don't know that I do the podcast and everything else. Even a majority of my students do not know that I'm actually part of the LGBT community. They know that I'm outspoken about the LGBT community, but they don't actually know that I'm a part of the community.
Yeah.
Just because with me being an instructor for kids in particular, there was always a bit of a concern for me because I actually, when I was in high school, I had a gay dance teacher. She was absolutely amazing. But she wasn't very vocal about it either. She actually, at one point, just made an offhand comment about her wife one day, and we were all like, wait, you have a wife?
Yeah.
And it was amazing to all of us, but she didn't come out and say anything because there was a concern, and it was validated, actually, unfortunately. I guess one of the more conservative girls had gone home and explained to her parents that she had a gay dance teacher, and I guess this parent called the school and was making a fuss over it because it was like, these girls are in a dance class with a gay dance instructor. All of these girls with this woman who likes women. Like, it was a whole thing. And so I can understand why she was quiet. And after having looked at that when I was in high school, I very much carried that with me into my actual teaching career where I was like, already, I just kind of accepted the fact, like, everyone was like, oh, you're straight, you're straight, you're straight. I just never bothered to say, no, I'm actually bi. I just never bothered to say it because I was like, nobody needs to know because I don't need any sort of more conservative parent making a big deal out of things. And even for me, it wasn't that whole, am I? Like, there wasn't any questioning for me. It was more just like, she's pretty. He's pretty. I guess I'm bi then. Like, I really just didn't question it. It wasn't, I don't know, I just kind of accepted it right away. It was like, sure, I guess. What took me a little bit longer to come into was the fact that I was, and even now, I am a little bit confused. I say that all the time. I don't know if I'm fully asexual. I don't know if I'm gray sexual. I don't know if I'm demisexual. I don't know because I've never had a close bond with anybody. I've never felt that comfortable with anybody. So, I mean, I've said before that if I really had to pick or choose, which sounds weird, but it's kind of like, I feel like sexually I would be more comfortable with a woman than with a man, just because the thought of penis kind of grosses me out, if I'm really honest. Like, I just unintentionally start making faces.
Penises are gross.
I just unintentionally start making faces, and the fact that I've never been sexually active with anybody before kind of tells me all I need to know. I've never even really seen one in person, and if I'm already making faces, that's not a good sign. But that being said, if you were to ask me, oh, are you attracted to boobs and everything, I'm just kind of like, no.
But boobies.
And even then, if you're
titties.
like vagina, I'm just kind of like, it's messy.
You know, for me, like, I can see, like, in my head, like, penises are just, like,
Blech.
skin tubes, basically.
Ugh.
For me, but, like, I can understand that vaginas are just, like, gaping holes. Like, they're just holes.
That's fair.
But my brain is, like, caverns of wonder.
And,
though.
you know, I've
caverns of wonder.
I've had certain people kind of suggest to me that because I was never sexually active when I was younger and because I never got experience with the opposite sex, it's why I'm so uncomfortable with it, just because you never had experience, and so how is your brain supposed to relate that? So no wonder, like, your brain doesn't know what to do with that information.
You never wanted experience.
That's the problem, and that's what I'm trying to get across to people,
Yeah.
where it's like, being ace, it's not just, well, you haven't had an experience yet, so how would you know? And I'm like, because the second I start to think about it, like, I start cringing and making faces, and it feels like an involuntary reaction. I'm not sitting there thinking, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Ew. My body just reacts and, like, goes, ugh. Like, it's something that I can't control.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that it's not because I haven't had any experiences. No. I just don't think it's for me.
Yeah.
And honestly, again, I'm not very vocal about it. I do kind of question what that's going to mean for any future relationships or anything, because, I mean, if I end up with another woman, it may be a little bit easier, but I don't know if that's just because, in my mind at least, it's easier to discuss my sexuality with another woman.
Yeah.
But I feel like with a guy, there's a weird sort of almost like expectation to some extent that sexy things are going to happen, and I'm just kind of like...
I think it depends on the guy.
And the trouble for me, there's some asexualities where it's like, you're fine as long as you're touching someone else and they're not touching you.
Yeah.
To me, it's all of it. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to touch you. I don't want to see you. I don't want you to touch me. I don't want you to see me. I want nothing to do with any of it.
Yeah.
And it's not even like, there's some asexualities that are like, oh, I'm fine with, like, the thought of it and everything else.
Yeah, but
I'm not even that. It's like, no. Just all of it is a straight up hard no for me.
You can have a romantic relationship without sex.
I think it's just a little bit more challenging, and I think a lot of it is the pressure that I put on myself to be like, am I setting myself up for my husband or wife to cheat on me? And they're going to go, well, I have needs. And can I really argue that? I don't have those needs, but if they do, what do I do? Because I can't even stand the thought of it. So it's like, do I have to be okay with them going and finding somebody else? Because it's not fair for me to say, well, I don't have those needs, so you shouldn't have them either.
Well,
I can't do that, but it's also not fair for them to look at me and be like, well, I have needs, so you need to do something about it. It's
I think the nice thing is that you're a person who doesn't have those needs. Yep. There's other people out there who don't have those needs too.
It might just be finding the right person, honestly.
I think so. I don't know.
It's just tough. And I think for me, I've never questioned my sexuality. What I have questioned is what that means for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real struggle here. But overall, I've never really questioned myself and what I want or what I need. I mean, I do question just a little bit where on the asexual spectrum I am. Because as I said, I could be completely demisexual or gray sexual and have no idea, simply because I've never had a deep relationship like that. So I could be completely wrong. Yeah. But from where I'm sitting, it's looking pretty, I'm sitting pretty high at the top of the flag in the black category instead of like the gray category. Like, so I'm just kind of like, no, it's looking pretty dark in here, you guys. It's looking pretty dark.
Looks like my hellscape.
Yeah, it's pretty dark in there too, which explains a lot. But let us know what your experience is. If you're bi, if you're ace, if you're, lesbian, are you butch, are you femme? Let us know, even for guys.
If you don't label yourself, let us know that too.
Yeah, honestly, because labels to me help explain you to people, and I think that's why people use them so frequently, because to me, labeling myself as ace makes it easier to explain to other people. But that being said, being ace is not who I am. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's also a good way to find community.
Very much so. Yep.
It's an identifier.
But let us know what you are. We'd love to hear your experiences. We love talking to you guys.
Yes.
So that's all for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk at you in the next one.
Yeah, take it gay by gay, guys.
Bye.